Is social media hurting or helping the fishing industry? That's a question I'm asking myself a lot more nowadays as opposed to 5+ years ago when social media influencers and fishing really weren't the hot thing like it is now. Because let's face it, fishing influencers are a dime a dozen. Everybody's trying to get pro staffed and everybody's trying to earn some commission. So let's kind of sit and talk about it because these are some things that I've been seeing. As always, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments about this topic because this is something me and my friends talk about all the time. So we had to do a video, of course. This video is by no means a way to call anybody out, more to give perspective to newer anglers and people that are trying to make content, some lessons learned, both from myself and what we're seeing. But I've 100% noticed that where we go for our information has shifted, right? This is a two-part video. We're going to talk about the movement from relying on professionals to influencers, and then we're going to talk about pro staff because these are two things that are hand in hand tied in and where the shift happened, and our information may not be as valuable or as valid as we would like to think when we're scrolling on our phones, looking at videos and lure reviews, trying to see what catches what where, all these different things. So we'll start off with the shift because that I think gave us a lot of opportunity and helped the industry, but we're also going to talk about the downside to it because there's always a dark side of the moon. What is the shift? So growing up, just getting into fishing, I heavily relied on going into a store, finding a lure that looked good, taking it out myself. If I saw on TV through Bill Dance or Roland Martin that they're using that, that's generally how I went and found it. Or the big book Bass Pro Catalog, right? And as things progressed and social media obviously became a thing, you had your first wave of content creators, the Googans and all these other people. Tactical Bassing was a huge resource for me. And obviously some people have ties to brands like myself. I own a business. But there are a few resources that I started trusting more on social media. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, I didn't follow professional bass fishing growing up. I didn't. I fished from a bank. I was a young kid. I just didn't follow it. So I know a lot of my relatives heavily followed the pro tours and things to get information. Oh, this guy's catching on this, right? Like a lot of people trusted what the pros said worked and they went and bought it, right? And we shift, let's say 10 years to now, okay? A lot less from what I'm seeing in our age group, my age group, 35 and under, late 80s, 90s, 2000s, right, are not looking at the pros for what they want to try anymore, right? And is it a lack of trust in the professional? We know people don't like sharing lures during tournaments, right? We know people are sponsored. So when they're advocating a bait, are they really using it, right? Because they're entitled to post certain things for their sponsors. So for me personally, I stay away from what the pros are using unless I see them catch on it. If it's on live TV and I see a Morning Dawn jackhammer catching fish on Santee Cooper, that is enough proof for me to go buy a Morning Dawn jackhammer and throw it on my home lake, Santee Cooper. But outside of that, we're all relying on what you're watching right now, YouTube, other social media platforms, to pull this information, to see underwater action, to see colors that work, to see how these anglers are using them. But there's a huge downside to that. A lot of these creators are in the same pattern as the pros. They have partnership deals. They have sponsorship deals. They're getting paid for advertising for specific lures. So where's the trust in the industry? Well, I know a lot of people will instantly clash on me. So let's just get this completely straight. I make content. I own a brand. I have partnerships, right? But how you advocate your content has to be as clean and unbiased as humanly possible to get the trust of the angler, right? And how do you do that nowadays when you have every other post has a brand tag, and people want pro staffs, and people want their stuff to get shared, and people want to grow from the company. People are working with lure brands in month patches and saying everything is the best. How do you stay unbiased? Show them it works. Show the action, show where you're throwing it, and catch fish on it. And I'm not talking about hold it up with a lure in the mouth. Anybody can hot swap. Go out and catch on it live or in a video, cast the catch. I know a lot of you guys don't watch that anymore, but that is proof right there. Here's a lure, cast it, catch a fish. And now I'm not saying that you don't trust influencers, right? But I think the shift from watching the pros to now trusting influencers, content creators, is a lot more impactful on the industry solely because you have more eyes on the product, right? So it could be damaging to the brand. Say an influencer, wants to earn commission on something and they buy a product and they go and fish it and they lie about it. I've had it happen to my brand, to other brands I've seen it. If they lie, that could be damaging to the brand, right? And I think a lot of things that people don't understand is a lot of us that just get started just like to try different stuff. I have a rule, if I don't make it, I'll fish it. That's pretty plain rule, right? Hard baits, anything but plastics and hollow body frogs. I'll use other people's products. Do I instantly brand tag? No, I don't even barely tag my own brand, okay? And that I think is super important for those of you making content, because if you're showing that it's about the catching first and the product sales second, it really puts in priority what your goal is when you're advocating a product. Again, I think social media nowadays is doing more harm than good in terms of confusion to a newer angler because of select words we're using best in the market, game-changing, innovative, right? When in reality, a lot of these lures that we're looking at are a spin-off of another, a revamp of an older one, or just something that's been out forever and someone's just trying to get you to click, right? We're ranting. This is a discussion video and I want your feedback in the comments because, like I said, as a creator and a business owner, it gets very difficult to be as PG about specific ways of advertising, right, that creators are doing. Because for the thousands and thousands of creators that are making unbiased, genuine, good content, you have 10 that have a following that are ruining it, making distrust and making people not trust content creators that are trying to just advocate for a product they actually like. And that's a perfect segue into the partnerships and pro staffing. Pro staff, professional staff or promotional staff. You be the judge of it. Honestly, for me, it's promotional, right? Solely promotional, unless you're a paid pro. And where's the line in the sand on that, right? Are you a sponsored angler? Or do you just get a 10% discount and have a logo on a jersey? To me, that's not a true sponsorship. To me, you can fight me in the comments if you want. To me, a paid sponsor is entry fees paid, a stipend, an allocated amount of money that is greater than a discount, right? That is what a sponsored angler or athlete is to me, as a brand owner and as somebody that has partnerships. When we talk about pro staffs, code warriors, code hunters, those are all terms that we've used in our friend group. I think it is a term that is thrown around way more and used way bigger than it should be when it comes to social media. Sure, every business needs people to advertise their products. Unless you are like a 6 Cents Milliken starting kind of deal, right? Where you have a huge following and you could solely get your brand off the ground from your following. The pro staff, promotional staff argument is kind of one of those deals where everybody goes through a phase of it, right? When I first started, I felt that I needed to have pro staffs, right? And I didn't really understand the difference of the partnership and the responsibilities that I had to accrue to do the right thing for the business, because that's what you're doing. You're trying to help a business, right? And they're trying to help you. It's a partnership. So, you stack brands, right? You stack brands, or some brands you just say, oh, I want to be pro staff. And they said, cool, here's a discount. Go buy products from our site. Is that really like a deal? I mean, if you're just getting started, sure. If you believe in the product, maybe. But for me, when you break down a promotional staff, right? Like there has to be a delineation between a pro and a promotional staff. I would never apply to a brand that I haven't used their products before. I'm not going to bring the emails up, but I have thousands of emails this year asking for sponsorships and pro staff for tactical fishing. And every single time I look up their name, never purchase a single product, the answer is no. And I'm sorry, but how can I trust you are going to advertise my product in a promotional level that is adequately accurate for how my products work? I can't rely on that, right? As a business owner, I'm looking for people that actually can speak to the product, right? So if I'm saying that as a business owner, as a creator, how should you think? You should think the same. Towards the back half of this year, I made the choice to get rid of most of my partnerships. There are a few reasons why that we just kind of talked about. So I have a rule, like I said earlier. If I don't make the product, I will use it. Hard baits, so on and so forth, right? Now, would I take a promotional deal with a hard bait company? Probably not. Because when it comes to lures, I use primarily my products, unless the situation deems it necessary to throw a lipless or something of that nature. But I got rid of most of the partnerships because I found it had negative impact on my audience, on trustworthiness to buy a product. And I'm not saying for you to do that. Seek out partnerships if you believe in the product. Cashin Rods, perfect example for me. I'm still partnered with Cashin. I had worked with a rod company a year and a half ago. Didn't see eye to eye with the morals of the brand, right? And how they advocated themselves on social media. So I broke ties, right? In the interim, I was using specific reels, used their rods until I found a brand that I really liked. Fished a Cashin rod for 6-7 months, really fell in love with the rod, had nothing but good things to say. It performed in ways I had not had in other rods. So I applied to become a partner. And I can speak to a whole bunch of different styles. I've had them for full seasons, caught multiple big fish on them. I can speak to the product and I believe in it. So I wanted to partner with them. Kayaks. I was working with a kayak brand. I severed ties and decided to go out and help smaller shops because for me, it's less brand tied and I can get people into kayak fishing rather than get them to buy a specific brand of kayak, if that makes sense. So I know we're running around a circle in this, but when you're looking for partnerships, you need to start really thinking about, do you use their stuff? Because we talked about the trust in the industry with social media, with the pros and creators. The loss of trust happens when you see those creators you look up to start to hop and say the same things about 10 different brands in the same category. If I have a sponsorship, let's use TFC, Tactical Fishing, as an example. If I, for 6 months, was saying Tactical Fishing is the best soft plastic company on the market, was using it, showing some mediocre content with it, some B-roll, and then 6 months later, I swapped to another brand. And I'm saying the same things. It is okay to find a better product and use it. It is 100% okay. That happens. There are better products than what you're using now out there that you may not know about. The difference is when you are trying to sell and push, people start to notice when you're hopping brands, right? When you're stacking stickers, stacking discounts, right? And it becomes a habitual cycle and people catch it, right? Because you have deliverables as a creator. You have to create X amount of content or push certain posts and people will see it that time of month. Oh, they're pushing brands, they must owe something to them, right? But all the other content is really not focused on that kind of stuff. People catch on. So when you're hunting brands, right, we see on Facebook, especially in the kayak industry, man, it is, I'm not naming names. I really want to, but I'm not gonna do this. We'll see names that comment on a whole bunch of different brands asking for stuff or wanting codes or applying. And then you see them throwing another product in a post and tagging them and wanting to get shared out. We know, we see it. I'm not the only one that sees it. I get messages. Man, people keep receipts. This industry is tiny. Business owners talk. Don't be a code hunter, right? Everybody wants a discount. Everybody wants to save some money, right? But dude, you gotta chill. If you're newer to the industry, the biggest advice I can give you is take your time with partnerships. They will come if your content is good. If you make good content and you make genuine content, brands will reach out to you. And if they're not, make yourself available for it. Advocate that you want to work with brands. Put a business email in your description and your links, all that stuff. They will find you. But spam posting, when we see you doing it everywhere else, makes you look bad. And it makes fishing promotional staffs look bad. It's not bad to be on a promotional staff. It's bad to want to be on every promotional staff. And this is a topic that will never die in every single industry, in health and fitness, in fishing, everything. It happens because everybody wants to promote a brand and they think that is what they need to do to be a good content creator. Now, granted, if you're making a living off of it and you get a better deal from somebody, that's fine. But just make sure when you're posting your content for brands, it is level playing field bias as if you are someone just using the product. You'd be really surprised how much better your content will get if you're just talking as a fisherman using something as opposed to a salesman selling something. This is a completely different video than we usually do. And we're gonna start breaking down stuff like this because I really love talking about these things in the industry because maybe this will spark a light bulb for someone that, oh crap, I'm doing that. Like I need to dial it back. Or maybe that's why my posts aren't doing well. Stop tagging 50 brands in every post. If you're tagging brands, make sure the product's in there. Hell, I don't even tag my brand in 90% of my content. And that is why I delineated personal content to business content. So it looks like I'm just a fisherman going out there. And if someone asks what that big 7-inch worm is, oh, here it is. Here's a link to my business. Here's a discount. Thank you for shopping. But when every single post you're making is brand, come on, make some original stuff. Make some stuff for yourself. Because just like in the Army, everybody's replaceable, right? You can make one post that gets you from the brand. Are you gonna go back and delete their name off all your stuff? Probably not. I wanna hear y'all down in the comments because I know this is like that topic of discussion where people are proud to say I'm a pro staff, I'm a promotional staff. And then you have 10 people absolutely crap on them for saying that in the comments, right? Like, oh, pro staff. It's fine to be proud to support a brand. I'm not saying it's not. I advocate for people to feel proud to represent a brand. Part of the downfall of fishing right now is people representing every single brand that they can and not truly representing the brand. And it does hurt those businesses. It does. As we start getting into longer form content, these are the discussions I want to have because we used to do these on live shows and we talk about it and people learn from it. A lot of my audience is newer anglers. I am not a professional. I'm not. My content is not aimed at professionals. If it gets to one, cool. 90% of my following are newer fishermen or weekend warriors like myself that maybe want to pick up some deals or represent brands when they can. So this is advice I've learned over the last 6 years of making content, 3 of which I really started paying attention to what worked and what didn't, right? So, we had the shift from relying on pros all the time to relying on creators. Let's not have it shift anywhere else. Let's empower creators. We can make content in the confines of our own home. We can do lure reviews in our home. We can do rigging videos in our home. It's not requiring us to go anywhere. And I know this boom was post-COVID, but it gave a lot of people opportunity. So let's not ruin it by overdoing it and trying to oversell and sacrificing the quality of the content that we're making representing these businesses. Is social media ruining fishing? I don't think so. I know. Rage bait intro. I don't think it is. I think it will if we don't start to correct certain things that we're doing as creators, but I definitely think it has helped it. As always, you guys, we're here to generate thought, improve the industry, and connect with you guys. Drop a comment, like I said, your thoughts if you watched the whole video. Let me know how you feel about the industry as a whole moving forward, if you think social media is the way forward in terms of advocating brands, and if you think promotional staffs, pro staffs are just straight dumb. I appreciate all you guys. I have really loved making content, whether it be this, sitting in an office style vlog, or on the water, or making baits, or just goofy skits, right? I've enjoyed it because you guys give me the feedback. That's why it's fun. My kids see me having fun do it. They're proud of me for doing it. They think it's cool. Their friends think it's cool. And that's because of every one of you guys that watch. Hit the like button and subscribe. So thank you guys. Wouldn't be here without you. And as always, take some of these things, put it in the thought bank. Think about it before you comment. We love to see the engagement, and we like to have professional discussions in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you down in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next video.